Part 17. God Level Tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Taido. Chapter 161. Have you driven? When he walked to the door, Xiaoji asked the women again. No, we all came by taxi. Wu Zaiwai said directly. Well. Then we can put our car here, and we will have to drink later. The Dynasty KTV I ordered is nearby. Xiaoji nodded and said directly again. Okay, I'll put the bag in your car. I don't want to hold it. There's no money in it anyway. At this time, Wu Zaiwai said to Xiaoji again. Yeah. Right now, I'll open the car door. Xiaoji nodded, took out the BMW key, and pressed it. Suddenly, a white BMW 320 parked at the door rang, and the door lock opened. Ever since, Wu Zaiwai opened the car door with a proud look and put her bag in. In fact, the main purpose of putting the bag is not, the main purpose is to show off my boyfriend's car to my girlfriends in the dormitory. Sure enough, when Wu Zaiwai put her bag away, the eyes of the women around her also fell on Xiaoji's BMW. Zaiwai's boyfriend's car is new. Did he just buy it? Zaiwai, your boyfriend is really awesome. He drives a BMW while still studying. Beside Wu Zaiwai, the girls named Fen Yuling and Lu Yu couldn't help but said next to Wu Zaiwai. Zhang Tingting and Zhang Chunjiao also had a flash of strange color in their eyes. Only Lin Yanran looked indifferent. It's just a BMW, nothing to be surprised about. Her family has many luxury cars, including a Bentley herself, but she thinks it's too high profile and doesn't drive it much. Mouse, do you put your car here too? But at this moment, Xiaoji asked Li Hao again. Well, since it's not far away and I'm too lazy to open it, just leave it here. Li Hao said lightly. When the girls heard Xiaoji's words, there was a strange look in their eyes. They thought that Xiaoji was the only one driving here, and there were only 4 of them. If they were driving, one car would be enough to seat them, but they didn't expect that Li Hao actually came. Driving a car too? Li Hao also drove. Wu Zaiwai couldn't help but ask. Lin Yanran next to her also had a flash of surprise in her beautiful eyes at this moment, and a touch of curiosity arose in her heart. Xiaoji glanced at Li Hao. His eyes seemed to say, Mouse, it's time for you to show off. However, Li Hao looked calm and composed. He didn't say a word and had no intention of showing off. Xiaoji was speechless and sighed helplessly in his heart, forget it, let your brother help you. The next moment, Xiaoji nodded. Yes. Then he pointed at the Lamborghini in the parking space on the roadside. Isn't this? This Lamborghini Poison is a rat's car. There are more than 10 units in the world, worth more than 30 million. It seems that there is only one in the country. Xiaoji said slowly. As Xiaoji's words came out, extreme shock appeared in the beautiful eyes of the women in front of them. Oh my God, is this Lamborghini Poison Li Hao's car? What a handsome car. Can I get in and take a ride? Li Hao. There are only a dozen or so cars in the world, more than 30 million. Sounds of exclamation came from the mouths of Fen Yuling, Lu Yu, and other women, and even Lin Yanran's eyes showed an obvious strange color. They had discovered the existence of this car when they arrived at the door before, and they could also see many tourists and beauties around them taking pictures of the car with their mobile phones. What they did not expect was that this extremely handsome supercar actually belongs to Li Hao. What Li Hao is wearing is quite ordinary. How can he own such a car? Is it low-key? Or keep a low profile? While the girls were shocked, there was something strange in their beautiful eyes looking at Li Hao. In their hearts, they had some thoughts about Li Hao. Finally, at the strong request of the women, Li Hao opened the car door and let them take a look at the interior. After that, a group of about 10 people went directly to the Dynasty KTV, which was about 200 meters away. This Dynasty KTV is a very famous KTV in Jiangbei, and it is extremely luxuriously decorated. The entrance of Dynasty KTV is already full of cars. Luxury cars can be seen everywhere, including Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Porsche, Maserati, Jaguar, etc. There is even a Ferrari, a Maybach, and a Rolls-Royce Phantom. When Li Hao and the other four entered with a young and beautiful beauty, they also attracted the attention of many men. Damn, what a bunch of girls, they have such great bodies. To be together with a few stupid people, isn't this a waste of natural resources? Wait a minute and see which private room they are in. When the time comes, let's guard the door and see if we can catch any leaks. Many men had a glint of desire in their eyes. This Dynasty KTV is a KTV that combines a bar and a KTV. It is a huge ring-shaped building. The central area is dedicated to disco dancing, just like in a bar. Move every time and hit every time. Be scared. The exciting music, shining lights, and figures swaying with the music made the atmosphere very exciting. But Li Hao, 4 men and 6 women, came directly to the V999 private room. This private room is very large, with 2 microphones and another microphone. Soon, the music in the private room started to sound. Bottles of beer have been placed on the table, and there are also many fruit plates. Tonight, Hazi will treat us. Sing and drink, and don't go home until you are drunk. At this time, Xiaoji said to everyone again. Come on, pick up the wine glass, drink, and sing. Xiaoji took the lead in picking up the wine glass. Haha, drink. Don't go home until you are drunk. Cheers. Wu Chao and Chen Tao also picked up their wine glasses and said. Drinking will give you a better chance. They are still thinking about hooking up with a girl. Wu Ziyi is Xiaoji's, and the most beautiful Lin Yanran seems to be interested in Hazi and doesn't like them. They can only set their sights on the remaining girls. Feng Yuling looks very quiet, with a pure appearance and an average figure. Lu Yu looks cute, but she is short and a little petite. Zhang Chunjiao looks okay, with a good figure and a slender figure. She looks more mature than others. And Zhang Tingting, the best one among the remaining 4 people, although she doesn't talk much and looks cold, she looks pretty, especially her figure, which should be the best among the women, especially her breasts, which are very majestic, just like a ball tyrant. Big breasts are better than anything else. Wu Chao and Chen Tao also had a lot of ideas in their minds. Soon, the women were also quite generous, picked up the wine glasses and drank them all. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 162. Come on, drink up. Cheers. We won't go home until we're drunk tonight. Cheers. As everyone ordered songs. The girls were all students of Jiangbei Conservatory of Music, and they often went to KTV to sing. Music was their major. There were 6 girls, and each of them could sing, and the best ones could be microphone masters. Among the 4 boys in Li Hao's dormitory, only Xiaoji could sing well, with a deep voice, and was especially good at imitating Jackie Chung, singing very affectionately. For Xiaoji, singing was also a skill to seduce girls, and he had already mastered this skill to perfection. As for Wu Chao and Chen Tao, they were much more honest. Finally, Wu Chao couldn't help it anymore, and his eyes he looked at several girls. Wu Ziyi was Xiaoji's woman, and Lin Yanran knew Hazi and seemed to be very interested in him, so Wu Chao would not go to Lin Yanran to make trouble. And Lin Yanran sat next to Li Hao, whether intentionally or unintentionally. Wu Chao looked at the remaining 4 girls quietly, and finally, he set his sights on Zhang Tingting. This girl is quite beautiful, especially in her figure and her breasts. Really big. The next moment, Wu Chao picked up the wine glass and sat down next to Zhang Tingting. Hey. Zhang Tingting, come. Have a drink. Wu Chao said directly to Zhang Tingting. Zhang Tingting glanced at Wu Chao indifferently, but did not refuse. She directly picked up a glass filled with beer and clinked it with Wu Chao's glass. Without saying anything, she drank it all in one gulp. It was so generous. After drinking, Zhang Tingting listened to the music quietly again without saying anything. Seeing this scene, how could it be possible? Wu Chao came to Zhang Tingting to drink mainly for chatting, and today he was socializing with the other party's dormitory, and he was originally planning to hold the beauty home. So, Wu Chao said to Zhang Tingting again. Zhang Tingting, do you have a boyfriend? Even if he had a boyfriend, Wu Chao didn't really care, but at this moment he didn't know what to say, so he asked for some reason. No. When Zhang Tingting heard Wu Chao's words, her face didn't change much, and she said indifferently. No. That's great. Wu Chao was immediately happy. What type do you like? What do you think of me? Wu Chao struck while the iron was hot and immediately asked Zhang Tingting again, quite directly. You. Zhang Tingting glanced at Wu Chao again, with a flash of surprise in her eyes. He. Zhang Tingting laughed again, but she didn't want to discourage others too much, so she didn't answer or say anything more, and raised her glass again. Let's drink. Zhang Tingting directly filled the glass again, picked up a glass of beer and poured it into her mouth again. Sometimes, it's better not to think too much, especially about boyfriends. The more you think about it, the more troubled you become. Zhang Tingting looks good, but her family conditions are average, and she is a real rural person. However, she has been very independent since she was a child. She worked to support herself in high school, and even saved money for college. And her parents didn't even want her to go to college, but wanted her to get married directly. Every time she went back, her parents would introduce her to many men, hoping that she could get married and receive a large amount of dowry. It's so realistic, and parents are so powerful. But Zhang Tingting feels that she should make her own decisions in her life. Especially her partner, she has to choose by herself. As a result, Zhang Tingting is also very realistic now. While Zhang Tingting was drinking, her beautiful eyes fell on Li Hao, who was not far away from her. Li Hao was drinking and talking with Lin Yanran, which made Lin Yanran smile sweetly. Even under the shining lights, she could still see a hint of shyness on Lin Yanran's face. Seeing this scene, a strange color flashed in Zhang Tingting's eyes. If you are looking for a boyfriend, this guy is a good choice. It simply satisfies the fantasy of girls. This Li Hao is very handsome, and he is about 1.8 meters tall. In addition, he has a Lamborghini Veneno, which is not something that ordinary people can have. I'm afraid he is a rich man. Opportunity. Sometimes, you have to fight for it yourself when it's right in front of you. Zhang Tingting drank drinking wine, but there are some strange thoughts in his mind. Seeing that Zhang Tingting didn't want to answer, but directly picked up the wine glass to drink, Wu Chao didn't ask again. Drink if you want to drink. When the other party is drunk, he will have a chance. On the other side, Chen Tao was not idle either, holding the wine glass and targeting the girl named Lu Yu. In addition to her petite figure, Lu Yu looks very cute, which makes Chen Tao want to protect her. Come on, beauty. Let's have a drink. Chen Tao is not good at flirting with girls at all, and he just wants to have a drink. Cheers. Lu Yu was singing, but when she saw Chen Tao wanted to drink with her, she still picked up the wine glass and poured it directly into her mouth. Beauty, my name is Chen Tao. Chen Tao didn't know what to say. I know. This sentence made Lu Yu a little confused, but she felt a little funny in her heart. This guy was afraid of this, but he wanted to flirt with her? Can you add me on WeChat? Chen Tao hesitated again, and asked Lu Yu a little embarrassedly. Sure. Lu Yu did not refuse, and directly opened WeChat on his mobile phone. That's great. Soon, Li Hao also opened WeChat and excitedly added Lu Yu as a WeChat friend. Just when Lu Yu thought that Chen Tao wanted to chat with her, he should flirt with her. But the next moment, Chen Tao actually ran to the corner again. Then he picked up his phone and sent her a WeChat message on WeChat. Hey, do you have a boyfriend? Smirk. When Lu Yu saw this WeChat message, her pretty face was a little dark. She was right in front of her, and instead of flirting with her in front of her, he actually added WeChat and ran to the corner to send WeChat. What kind of operation is this? When Lu Yu saw Chen Tao's WeChat message, she was thinking about chatting with this guy. Yes. Lu Yu replied directly with 2 words, and then continued singing without looking at the phone. In the corner, Chen Tao, holding his phone, looked at the 2 words Lu Yu replied on WeChat, and the smile on his face froze. Yes. Have a boyfriend? Damn, how unlucky he is. If he has a boyfriend, what's the point of chatting? Chen Tao just felt depressed and unhappy, holding a glass and drinking it again. Flirting with girls, failed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 163. Wu Chao and Chen Tao had a difficult start. Trying to flirt with girls all ends in failure. Wu Chao wanted to flirt with Zhang Tingting, but Zhang Tingting kept answering Wu Chao's questions calmly, but did not show much interest. Chen Tao added Lu Yu as a WeChat friend, and then asked Lu Yu if she had a boyfriend. Unexpectedly, Lu Yu replied yes, and then the two had no intention of continuing to communicate. The other side. Li Hao and Lin Yanran were chatting enthusiastically. Li Hao, I heard from my grandfather that he was already unconscious at the time. He knew from other people's mouth that you seemed to have brought Suxiaojuxin pill with you at that time, right? How could it be such a coincidence? Lin Yanran couldn't help but talk to Li Hao about his grandfather's sudden heart attack in the past. Thinking of what her grandfather said, Lin Yanran couldn't help but feel curious about Li Hao. Do you believe me when I say I can tell fortunes? In fact, I calculated it. That day your grandfather suffered such a calamity, I went to save her. I had ridden a bicycle for several kilometers at that time. My butt hurt from the pedaling. Li Hao said directly to Lin Yanran. Huh? Fortune telling? Haha, how is that possible? You have ridden a bicycle for several kilometers? Shouldn't riding a bicycle cause leg pain? Lin Yanran was startled when she heard Li Hao's words, but she couldn't help laughing and asked Li Hao. Obviously, Lin Yanran didn't believe it at all. Li Hao was speechless. He was telling the truth. My butt hurts from sitting. I can really tell fortunes, I won't lie to you. Li Hao said seriously. Real? Lin Yanran asked, still not convinced. Real? Li Hao affirmed. Then let me see if I will have good luck in the past 2 days. Lin Yanran said to Li Hao again. Give me your hand. Li Hao suddenly smiled and said again. Lin Yanran was startled for a moment, but she still stretched out her little hand obediently. The next moment, Li Hao directly held Lin Yanran's hand. Lin Yanran's hand was held by Li Hao, and a blush suddenly appeared on her pretty face. Although she couldn't see clearly under the cover of the light, her pretty face was burning. In the private room, this scene fell into the eyes of Wu Chao and others, and their eyes almost fell out. I wonder, is this developing so quickly? The rat has actually already taken advantage of it? The mouse is too fierce. Wu Chao and Chen Tao felt a sense of shock in their hearts. They felt that Li Hao was really awesome and his method of flirting with girls was no weaker than Xiaoji's. At the same time, when Zhang Tingting and Feng Yuling saw this scene, their beautiful eyes widened, and a strange color flashed in their eyes. Is Lin Yanran about to get there first? That won't work. Zhang Tingting felt that she could no longer just watch, and she had to take action. Although Lin Yanran is his roommate and best friend, when it comes to happiness, the latter is still more important. Happiness must be fought for, and good men must fight for it. Li Hao held Lin Yanran's beautiful hand with one hand. He felt that Lin Yanran's hand was very smooth and comfortable. He didn't want to let go of it. Soon, Li Hao used his other hand to touch Lin Yanran's jade hand, and then looked carefully at Lin Yanran's palm. It's like reading palms. After a while, Li Hao's eyes narrowed slightly and he made a sound of surprise. What's wrong? Li Hao. When Lin Yanran saw Li Hao's appearance, she immediately frowned and asked Li Hao doubtfully. The next moment, she saw Li Hao speaking solemnly again. No, no. If I'm not wrong, you will have a bloody disaster. Ah! A bloody disaster. Hearing Li Hao's words, Lin Yanran's expression suddenly changed, and she was startled by Li Hao. No way. Li Hao. What kind of bloody disaster? Lin Yanran's eyes widened and she asked weakly to Li Hao, her pretty face instantly turned a little pale. I heard Li Hao say with a deep expression again. If my prediction is correct, your aunt should be here soon, right? If nothing else happens, it will be the day after tomorrow. Ah! Auntie! Li Hao, you! When Lin Yanran heard Li Hao's words, she was suddenly startled again. Unexpectedly, the bloody disaster that Li Hao mentioned would be this. Lin Yanran stared at Li Hao with anger and shame. But the next moment, Lin Yanran was stunned again. The day after tomorrow? Today is the 18th, and the day after tomorrow will be the 20th. Her aunt really always has the 20th day of every month. How do you know? Lin Yanran blushed again and asked Li Hao in disbelief. Of course you can tell it by looking at your face. Li Hao said with a smile. Li Hao, I didn't expect you could read faces. Well, what else did you see? Lin Yanran's heart was filled with waves, and she couldn't help but ask Li Hao. Gold, wood, water, fire. There is something missing in your life. Li Hao immediately said to Lin Yanran again. Lin Yanran asked in surprise again. Earth. However, Li Hao shook his head again. No. You are missing me in your life. Li Hao said seriously. Ah. Hearing Li Hao's words, Lin Yanran's pretty face blushed even more. Li Hao, you. I hate you. Lin Yanran quickly pulled her hand back from Li Hao's hand and said to him angrily. She knew that Li Hao was doing this on purpose, and was clearly flirting with her. But for some reason, her heart was filled with joy. Ha ha ha. Seeing this scene, Li Hao laughed again. Flirting with girls sometimes requires skills. More practice is needed. Li Hao is not really good at flirting with girls, but after trying it, he felt pretty good. Drink, drink. Li Hao directly picked up the wine glass again and said to Lin Yanran. Lin Yanran did the same, picked up a glass of wine and drank it directly. Although she basically didn't drink on weekdays, she was an exception today. The young man in front of her made her feel good. Then, Li Hao talked about some other topics with Lin Yanran, drinking and listening to songs. Faintly, in a corner, Xiaoji and Wu Zaiwai were already hugging and chewing each other. These two. They were being affectionate in front of so many people, showing off their love. I'm going to the bathroom. I don't know if it was because she drank a few glasses of wine, but Lin Yanran started to react and went to the bathroom. However, just as Lin Yanran stood up, a girl sat down where Lin Yanran had just sat, next to Li Hao. Li Hao, come on, let's have a drink too. The girl was Zhang Tingting, who picked up a glass of wine and said to Li Hao very generously. This made Li Hao's eyes flash with a strange color. What a little goblin. Li Hao now wants to sing. You are Babol Ben, Ben Bul Ba. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 164. What a fairy. Li Hao saw Zhang Tingting. Although she looked good looking, she was not too stunning. However, her proud bust made her so dazzling. Li Hao did not expect that Zhang Tingting would come to him for a drink. Li Hao said lightly, raised his wine glass and touched it with the glass in Zhang Tingting's hand, and then drank it simply. Zhang Tingting also drank it all in one gulp. The next moment, Zhang Tingting asked Li Hao with a smile on her face. Li Hao, can you still read palms? She was paying attention to Li Hao just now, and vaguely heard some of the conversation between Li Hao and Lin Yanran. She got a rough idea and knew that Li Hao was reading Lin Yanran's palm just now. Li Hao was also startled, but still smiled and nodded. Yes. Can you show it to me? Can you show me my marriage relationship? When will I find a suitable boyfriend? Zhang Tingting said to Li Hao again, and even stretched out her jade hand. Do you still need to look at this? It's far away in the horizon, right in front of you. Li Hao said jokingly again. Ah. Hello, you are so bad. Are you talking about you? Haha, I can do that. When Zhang Tingting heard Li Hao's words, she still didn't understand what Li Hao meant. This guy was clearly talking about himself. Zhang Tingting immediately laughed again and looked at Li Hao seriously. Well, let me show it to you. Li Hao was stunned for a moment. He just said that smoothly, but he didn't expect the other party to be so direct. What can be done? Can I be my girlfriend? Grass. Li Hao didn't know how to answer the question, so he quickly changed the topic, and then held Zhang Tingting's hand. Silky. Zhang Tingting's hands are also very smooth, but they are a little different from Lin Yanran's hands. Zhang Tingting's hands are more slender. When other people in the private room saw this scene, their eyes widened again. Damn it! Did you get started again? Mouse, you are so awesome. Wu Chao and Chen Tao couldn't help but murmur in surprise. As for Xiaoji, he was still nibbling with Wu Ziawai in the dimly lit corner. His hand had been put somewhere unknown. From the perspective of the two of them, he looked pretty awesome. When Fen Yuling, Lu Yu, and other girls saw this scene, another strange color flashed in their beautiful eyes. Well. After a moment, Li Hao sighed again. When Zhang Tingting saw Li Hao sighing, she couldn't help but asked in surprise, and even her expression changed slightly. What's wrong? Your luck actually sounds pretty good, and it's pretty perfect. But. Li Hao made a deep sound and said directly. But what? Zhang Tingting couldn't help but tensed up and asked again quickly. But there's only one drawback. Li Hao's voice came out again. What shortcomings? Zhang Tingting couldn't help but was stunned again. What's the disadvantage? Doesn't she even know it herself? Missing me? Li Hao said seriously again. Ah. Li Hao, you are annoying. Hearing Li Hao's words, Zhang Tingting's pretty face instantly blushed. Although this seductive routine was very crude, it still made her heart tremble. Are I really missing you? That's great. Why don't you fill in this shortcoming of mine? Zhang Tingting looked at Li Hao again and said seriously to Li Hao. Li Hao. I don't know what to say. Zhang Tingting is indeed very beautiful and would be great as a girlfriend. However, this is the first time they have met, and in Li Hao's mind, Qin Yaking and Ye Xiun are the first choices for girlfriends. Li Hao thought this in his mind. The next moment, Li Hao was surprised again. Why do I think they are the first choice? Haha. Actually, I was just joking. But at this moment, Zhang Tingting said to Li Hao again, with a slightly unnatural smile on her face, and a slight sense of frustration in her heart. She had already said so, but Li Hao actually didn't show that he meant anything to her. Could it be that she was so incapable of attracting the other person's attention? Li Hao doesn't like her? No, Zhang Tingting is also very confident about her figure. Moreover, when he just came over, Li Hao was obviously like other men, his eyes stopped on her chest for a moment longer. Thinking of this, Zhang Tingting felt that she needed to test Li Hao more. In short, she believed that as long as Li Hao was a man, he would not be able to escape her grasp. Come on, Li Hao. Drink and drink. Zhang Tingting directly picked up the wine glass again and drank with Li Hao. Zhang Tingting has a good capacity for drinking, but she drank a lot during meals before, and now she drinks so much. As she drank more and more, Zhang Tingting's face became a little rosy, and her head felt a little dizzy. While drinking and chatting with Li Hao, Zhang Tingting gradually became bolder. Li Hao, do you have a girlfriend? Under the influence of alcohol, Zhang Tingting asked Li Hao again. No. Li Hao said calmly again. Then what do you think of me? Zhang Tingting asked Li Hao again. Li Hao looked at Zhang Tingting seriously, and his eyes fell on Zhang Tingting's chest again. The two were very close, and Li Hao could even see an amazing arc. And Zhang Tingting was also wearing a short skirt, and her round and slender thighs were still very eye-catching even in the dim light. Yeah. Very good. Good figure. Li Hao nodded seriously and said. To be honest, this figure is definitely top-notch among the women Li Hao has seen. I'm afraid that only the little assistant from the United States can compete with it in terms of figure. Do you like it? Hearing Li Hao's words and seeing Li Hao like this, Zhang Tingting's pretty face showed a smile again and asked. Yeah. Li Hao nodded again. Every man likes it. How about tonight? The next moment, Zhang Tingting came close to Li Hao's ear again and whispered to Li Hao, but she didn't finish her words, she said halfway. Hiss. Hearing Zhang Tingting's words, Li Hao could even feel the breath from Zhang Tingting's mouth, which made his heart suddenly waver. Damn, so direct? What tonight? Need I say? Go out and get a room. Okay. Since the other party said so, Li Hao felt that he couldn't be timid. What's good? Li Hao, I say we must not go home until we are drunk tonight. If I get drunk, you will take me home. Zhang Tingting heard Li Hao's words, but suddenly said, a naughty smile appeared on her pretty face. Li Hao was speechless. You. Li Hao widened his eyes. Zhang Tingting did it on purpose to make him think differently. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 165. Zhang Tingting did this deliberately to distract Li Hao. Seeing Li Hao's speechless look, Zhang Tingting found Li Hao even more interesting. Haha. I need to go to the toilet. Immediately, Zhang Tingting said to Li Hao again, then stood up and walked to the toilet. But as soon as Zhang Tingting stood up, her feet were a little unstable and she looked like she was about to fall. Li Hao was sitting and stretched out his hand to support Zhang Tingting's body. Zhang Tingting immediately supported Li Hao's leg. Are you okay? Li Hao asked Zhang Tingting, but his heart was agitated. Because, at this moment, Li Hao felt something coming from his hand. Li Hao's hand happened to rest on a special part of Zhang Tingting's body. In other words, it's Li Hao's hand. Damn it, it really wasn't intentional. Of course, the other party also took the initiative to give it to me. Moreover, when Zhang Tingting bent her body, Li Hao accidentally saw something different. Hiss. This sight made Li Hao take a breath, it was simply terrifying. You. Zhang Tingting was also suddenly stunned. She naturally felt the feeling of a pair of big hands coming from her place. This is a very sensitive part of her body, and it was actually touched by a man. Zhang Tingting's pretty face suddenly turned red. Even under the dim light, it was still visible. She didn't know whether it was because of drinking or because of the scene in front of her. I'm fine. Zhang Tingting said quickly, then stood firm, and then walked to the private toilet with a slightly shaky body. After drinking so much wine, she had to go to the toilet to relieve herself. Zhang Tingting came to the toilet in the private room. The toilet door is closed. Zhang Tingting twisted the door handle. Someone. A woman's voice came from the toilet. It was Lin Yanran's voice. Apparently, Lin Yanran occupied the toilet seat. It's been so long and she still hasn't come out. Lin Yanran doesn't know what she's doing inside. Have no choice. Zhang Tingting had no choice but to leave the private room and go to other toilets in the KTV. Li Hao looked at Zhang Tingting staggering out of the private room, and Li Hao had a bad feeling in his heart. It was obvious that Zhang Tingting was already a little drunk. It would be best if she didn't fall into the toilet for a while. However, Li Hao didn't pay too much attention. All the situations in the entire KTV are within his own perception. No matter what happens, Li Hao cannot escape Li Hao's perception. If Zhang Tingting really faints later, Li Hao will be able to sense it immediately. Drink wine. Then drink. With Li Hao's original drinking capacity, he would probably be a little dizzy after drinking a bottle of beer. But now, Li Hao is a monk and his body has already transformed. Alcohol will basically have no effect on Li Hao. Zhang Tingting just stepped out of the private room. Next to Li Hao, where Zhang Tingting was sitting just now, another girl sat down again. Lu Yu. Petite loli. Li Hao, let's have a drink too. Lu Yu actually brought a glass of wine and said directly to Li Hao. Dry. Li Hao couldn't help but was startled again, but he readily picked up a glass and drank it. Seeing this scene, Wu Chao and Chen Tao's eyes widened again. I'll go. Are you looking for rats again? The two of them were speechless, and then they looked at each other again in unison, feeling like crying. What a difference! This is such a gap. They took the initiative to chat with the other girl, but the other girl ignored him. When they arrived at Li Hao's place, the other girl actually took the initiative to lean towards Li Hao, mainly looking for Li Hao to drink. Look, those bodies are next to Li Hao, and they are trying to press themselves against Li Hao. It is obvious that they are throwing themselves into Li Hao's arms. Chen Tao was depressed because he had flirted with Lu Yu just now, but she always kept a distance from him and said she already had a boyfriend. But now, Lu Yu actually stuck to Mouse's body, which made Chen Tao extremely depressed. He moved his butt slightly towards the position of the two of them, and leaned a little closer, wanting to know what the two were talking about. Li Hao. You are so handsome and have a sports car. You must have a girlfriend, right? Lu Yu showed a cute smile and asked Li Hao curiously. No. Li Hao said lightly. Huh? You don't have a girlfriend? It's really great. I don't have a boyfriend yet either. After hearing what Li Hao said, Lu Yu actually said happily. In the back corner, Chen Tao's face turned dark when he heard Lu Yu's words. Damn it! Don't you have a boyfriend? He just asked on WeChat. Chen Tao couldn't bear it any longer, so he landed next to Li Hao on the other side. Don't you have a boyfriend? Mouse is my brother, don't lie to my brother. Chen Tao said to Lu Yu. Immediately, Chen Tao looked at Li Hao again. Mouse, I just asked her, and she said she has a boyfriend. Sigh. This change must be so fast. Li Hao understood what Chen Tao said. At this time, I heard this Lu Yu say again. It doesn't matter if I have a boyfriend. If we break up soon, I'll be single. Lu Yu does have a boyfriend, but if she can be with Li Hao, she can be single again at any time. Chen Tao. Li Hao. Can it be done this way? The two of them were also stunned. No, no. Drink, drink. Li Hao said hurriedly. The atmosphere was a bit awkward and they could only drink. Zhang Tingting had just walked out of the door of the private room and slightly tilted towards the toilet. But at this time, there were two men smoking in the corridor. When they saw Zhang Tingting, a bright light suddenly appeared in their eyes. Brother Chun, look. It's the woman I saw before. Yeah. I see it. I see it. Damn, this figure is so humming good. So big. She seems to be going to the bathroom. What a chance. So humming lucky. Come on, why the hell are you still smoking? Follow her. Wait, you wait outside the bathroom, I'll go in and knock her out first, and then we'll talk. Yeah, brother Chun, you have fun first. After you're done, it's my turn. Dot. The two stared at Zhang Tingting's back, unable to hide the desire in their eyes. The next moment, the two walked directly to Zhang Tingting's position, and one of them took out a small bottle from his trouser pocket. The bottle contained a special medicine, and only one drop was needed to make a cow faint. The two were gangsters. When they had no money, they went to their parents at home to get money. When they had money, they would hang out in bars, KTVs and other places, looking for opportunities to harm some drunk or lonely girls. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 166. The two men chased in the direction of Zhang Tingting. One of them holds a bottle of special medicine in his hand. As long as it is dropped into Zhang Tingting's mouth, Zhang Tingting will be instantly comatose and then lose all consciousness. The two of them harmed many girls in this way. Today, they set their target on Zhang Tingting. Zhang Tingting looked like she was going to the toilet. This was their chance, and she seemed a little drunk. Maybe she could take down the opponent without using any special medicine. Zhang Tingting felt that she was a little drunk. Although she could drink well, she had already drank a lot of wine today, and a lot of it was just drunk by Li Hao. Unexpectedly, Zhang Tingting finally came to the toilet. Zhang Tingting didn't notice, but there were already two gangsters hanging around the KTV who were already targeting her. The next moment, Zhang Tingting walked directly into the women's room. The two people also came outside the toilet and pretended to go to the toilet. At this moment, there are more people going to the toilet and it is difficult to get in. But now is an opportunity. If Zhang Tingting comes out, it will be difficult. Too many people and too many eyes. Leng Zi, you stay on guard, I can't bear it anymore. I'll change it for you later. At this time, one of the men said to another man next to him. Brother you go first, it's okay. I'll guard you, don't worry. Just try to keep your voice as low as possible, I'll let you know if anything happens. The man named Leng Zi immediately said again, his name is Leng Jun, and the man next to him is called Go Qing, who is his fellow villager. They both grew up together. Both of them are left behind children, and their parents have been together for several years. When they come back once in a while, no one cares about them, not even the old man and the old lady at home can control them. Therefore, the two of them started to mix in society before they even finished junior high school. This is not the first time I have done this kind of thing, so I have experience. Go Qing nodded, with a slutty smile on his face, glanced outside the toilet, and then went straight into the women's toilet. At this very moment, in the private room, Li Hao frowned slightly. Looking for death? Li Hao murmured. Well, you drink slowly while I go to the toilet. Li Hao said to Lu Yu, Lin Yanran, and others beside him, and then walked out of the private room directly. In the women's restroom, Zhang Tingting had just finished using the toilet, stood up quietly, opened the door of the toilet cubicle, and was about to go out. But at this moment, a man in black clothes actually appeared in front of him. Isn't this the women's room? Ah! Zhang Tingting screamed and her expression changed in shock. The next moment, Zhang Tingting felt her mouth being covered by the man in front of her. Woo! Zhang Tingting's mouth was covered, and the man pushed her body into the innermost compartment. Zhang Tingting wanted to struggle, but she didn't have the strength to break free from the other party. Moreover, she drank again and felt groggy. Don't resist. If you obey, I will make you very comfortable. Go Qing's eyes fell straight on Zhang Tingting's body, looking at Zhang Tingting's chest and thighs unabashedly. Hiss. It's so tempting. Go Qing's mouth was watering. Just at this moment, outside the toilet, Li Hao walked over directly. The stern man was guarding the door and looking at Li Hao warily. What are you looking at? Are you standing at the door of the toilet and eating shit? Still haven't seen anyone hanging in bed. When Li Hao saw this guy, he said directly. Leng Jun's face turned extremely dark when he heard Li Hao's words. Damn it, you're looking for death. He said to Li Hao coldly and sternly. Bang. However, the next moment, he saw the young man in front of him move, appearing less than an inch in front of him like a ghost. He only felt a heavy blow on the back of his head. Then, he knew nothing and fainted. Inside the women's restroom, Go Qing really couldn't help it anymore, so she stretched out her mouth towards Zhang Tingting and kissed her. Let me go. Zhang Tingting pushed Go Qing with all her strength, but her strength could not compare with that of a man. Seeing that she was about to be kissed, Zhang Tingting felt a sense of despair in her heart. However, it was the next moment. I saw a hand suddenly appear on the man's shoulder, stopping his body. Go Qing frowned, turned his head, and saw a young man standing behind him, reaching out his hand to grab his shoulder. Who are you? Go Qing said sharply. Do you really know who I am? How dare you harm me? Roll. However, the young man only said one word lightly. Damn it, I'm looking for death. Go Qing was angry, this guy dared to ruin his good deeds. Go Qing punched the young man. But, the next moment, the young man actually stretched out his palm and grabbed his fist directly. Immediately afterwards, click. The sound of broken bones was heard instantly. Ah! Go Qing let out a painful scream. Bang! Then, he kicked him directly, kicking Go Qing to the door of the women's restroom. Go Qing covered her lower body, her whole body flushed with pain. His lifeblood was kicked off. The next moment, he actually fainted from the pain. Li Hao didn't care about this guy anymore, but looked at Zhang Tingting sitting on the toilet. Are you okay? Li Hao said softly. Li Hao. Zhang Tingting's eyes widened and she looked at Li Hao in disbelief. Just now, she thought she was about to be violated by that guy, and she felt extremely desperate. Unexpectedly, Li Hao actually appeared at the most critical moment. The next moment, Zhang Tingting actually threw herself directly into Li Hao's arms. Thank you, it really scared me to death just now. I thought I was going to woo-woo. Zhang Tingting was extremely emotional and said with lingering fear. She even started to sob. She was obviously frightened by the scene just now. Zhang Tingting hugged Li Hao tightly. Li Hao was stunned for a moment, but soon realized what was going on. He also hugged Zhang Tingting and stroked Zhang Tingting's back with one hand. If you don't hug me, you won't hug me. The other party takes the initiative. Anyway, I won't suffer any loss. Moreover, Li Hao's chest also felt surprisingly soft, making Li Hao's body uncontrollably hot. Fortunately, Li Hao was a monk and had strong self-control. "It's okay, it's okay." Li Hao comforted Jiang Tingting softly. However, the next moment, Jiang Tingting, who was in her arms, actually turned her face and pressed her pretty mouth directly to Li Hao's mouth. Li Hao really didn't react, but a red lip was already printed on Li Hao's mouth, making Li Hao's eyes widen. Damn it! Was attacked by surprise. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 167. Li Hao really didn't expect Jiang Tingting to kiss him. He was attacked. Li Hao felt the smoothness on his lips, and his heart was even more turbulent. Moreover, Jiang Tingting was pressed against him, and her perfect figure was clearly revealed at this moment. Damn! Who can resist this? Kiss. It's useless not to kiss. Anyway, she has been kissed. Li Hao also hugged Jiang Tingting tightly and responded fiercely. His hands were not at all restless, and kept moving up and down. Jiang Tingting was really proactive. Jiang Tingting, who was already a little drunk, had never had such a good impression of a man. Li Hao was the first one. She had already felt desperate just now, but was saved by Li Hao. Jiang Tingting was a very decisive and straightforward person. She made this move directly, which was also a manifestation of her being unable to control her emotions. The door of the compartment was also closed. The two of them were kissing fiercely inside. As they kissed, their bodies became a little hot and their clothes became a little messy. Li Hao really couldn't hold it. No one could hold it. Forget it. I'm afraid I'll lose my virginity today. Li Hao sighed in his heart. As a man, losing your virginity is not something that can't be fought. Li Hao didn't dwell on it too much. Just when the two were about to move on to the next step. Ding 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 ding. Suddenly, at this moment, the phone rang. Li Hao, your phone. Jiang Tingting stopped first and asked Li Hao with a blushing face. Li Hao's face turned black. Damn. Who is it? Calling at this critical moment. Li Hao was speechless. He took out his phone and looked at it. It turned out to be the call from Sanyang Jinren. Li Hao hung up the phone directly without answering it, but looked at Jiang Tingting with an unsatisfied look. At this moment, Jiang Tingting's pretty face was already full of blushing, and her beauty was dripping. Moreover, her dress was messed up by Li Hao, revealing her spring scenery. Continue. Li Hao asked Jiang Tingting again with a half smile. His eyes were like he was going to eat someone. Well, no. Jiang Tingting stared at Li Hao and shook her head. No. Li Hao was a little surprised. Wasn't he so proactive just now? No, it's uncomfortable here. Jiang Tingting shook her head again and said weakly. Li Hao. After a while, Li Hao took the lead to go to the women's restroom, and Jiang Tingting tidied her dress and followed closely. But just after walking out of the women's restroom, two figures came towards them, one man and one woman. Hazi, what are you doing? Li Hao. Tingting, you. Xiaoji and Wu Ziyawai just saw the two people coming out of the women's restroom, and they immediately widened their eyes and said in doubt. If only Jiang Tingting came out of the women's restroom, it would be fine. But Li Hao actually went into the women's restroom as well. And seeing Jiang Tingting's flushed face, Xiaoji and Wu Ziyawai both thought of the same idea. There's something fishy. Were the two of them having sex in there? Li Hao glared at Xiaoji and didn't explain. Explanation was useless. They were indeed planning to do something bad in there, although they didn't succeed. Awesome. Hazi, you are really awesome. Xiaoji couldn't help but give Li Hao a thumbs up, and then came to Li Hao's ear and whispered. Hazi, Is it fun to do it in the toilet? I'm also going to try it in the toilet. Hearing Xiaoji's words, Li Hao's face was dark. You'll know after you try it. Li Hao said to Xiaoji indifferently. This guy really knows how to play. Li Hao and Zhang Tingting went back to the private room, while Xiaoji and Wu Ziawei went to the toilet to do unspeakable things. When Li Hao and Zhang Tingting walked in, the faces of Lin Yanran, Lu Yu, and other women froze slightly, and a strange color flashed in their eyes. They felt a threat from their roommates and besties. The singing continued, the drinking continued, and time passed quickly. But beside Li Hao, Zhang Tingting and Lin Yanran basically sat there without moving, and they drank and chatted with Li Hao from time to time, talking and laughing, and it was very lively. Wu Chao and Chen Tao sat in the corner, watching the scene eagerly, and they were hit hard in their hearts. How could there be such a big gap between people? The two of them were envious and felt very uncomfortable. They could only bear it silently, one glass for you and one glass for me. Bang. At a certain moment, suddenly, the door of the private room was knocked open by someone. What's going on? Who are you? Everyone in the private room was directly shocked by the scene, and they stood up and said in shock. I saw 7 or 8 figures outside the private room, all wearing black clothes, looking to be in their 20s or 30s, some with tattoos on their arms or necks. These people are obviously gangsters. The leader is a bald man wearing a black vest and a big gold chain. He looks quite sturdy, with tattoos on his body, a green dragon on the left and a white tiger on the right. He looks ferocious. Next to this bald man, Go Qing pointed in the direction of Li Hao and said directly. Brother Biao. This guy is the one. He beat me and Leng Zi. He didn't take you seriously at all. The bald man glanced at Li Hao, then his eyes swept through the private room, and a strange color flashed across his eyes. His name was Zhao Debiao, and he was a well-known gangster in this area. I didn't expect that there were so many beauties. The bald man smiled and muttered. The next moment, Zhao Debiao looked at Li Hao again and said unkindly. Boy, you are the one who hurt my 2 brothers. That's right. Li Hao said lightly, admitting it directly. You hurt my brother, how do you think this account should be settled? I only heard Zhao Debiao say again. Oh? I don't know either. Don't know? Do you want to die? Zhao Debiao's eyes were sharp again, and he shouted loudly. At this time, the men behind Zhao Debiao immediately made a gesture of wanting to take action. What are you going to do? Believe it or not, we will call the police. And Lin Yanran and other girls also changed their colors and said in horror. Wu Chao and Chen Tao also stood beside Li Hao, and they also looked ready to fight, and they were not afraid at all. He. But at this moment, Li Hao smiled faintly again. When everyone was confused and didn't know what Li Hao was going to do, they heard Li Hao said proudly again. You only brought so few people? You dare to settle accounts with me? When Li Hao's voice fell, everyone's eyes widened again. So few people? Li Hao is too arrogant. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 168. Mad. It's so crazy. Everyone in the private room stared wide-eyed, unable to believe that Li Hao would say such arrogant words. This is simply not taking the people in front of you seriously. Where did Li Hao get the courage? There were 7 or 8 people on the other side, and they were all strong young men. How could Li Hao talk about such a small number of people? Can the people in the private room win the battle together? There were only 3 boys, all girls, and Xiaoji went to the toilet to have sex. Arrogant. Damn it, him. He'll beat him until his mother doesn't recognize him. When the bald Zhao Debiao heard Li Hao's words, a fierce look suddenly appeared on his face and he said to the younger brothers beside him. Superior. Destroy him. Don't beat these women. Let them drink with me later. Suddenly, these younger brothers of Zhao Debiao also roared and rushed towards Li Hao fiercely. You guys get to the edge. Seeing this scene, Lin Yan ran, and the other girls were so frightened that their faces turned pale, but Li Hao's voice rang in their ears. The next moment, they saw Li Hao and rushed towards him. Damn it, if you try hard, you'll be hospitalized. Mouse, we 504 are not cowards. We just do it. When Wu Chao and Chen Tao saw this scene, their expressions became ugly, but neither of them gave up. 504 was Li Hao's dormitory number. After the words fell, the two of them rushed to fight. However, their words had just finished. But he saw that Li Hao had already rushed into the opponent's crowd. Bang 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 bang. A series of dull sounds suddenly sounded, like the sound of fists hitting the body. Ah! 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 Dot. One scream after another sounded instantly, almost at the same time. Bang 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 bang. Wu Chao, Chen Tao, and others were shocked to see figures flying out one after another. Some hit the wall of the private room, some hit the table, and some were thrown out of the private room door. Embarrassing, the scene was very embarrassing. Ah! It hurts me to death. My hand is broken. My tooth fell out. Groaning sounds continued to sound. None of Zhao Debiao's men could stand still, they were all beaten to the ground. As for Zhao Debiao, a pair of hands was choking his neck at this moment. Zhao Debiao's eyes were filled with incomparable shock, and a feeling of suffocation filled his body. His neck was pinched by these hands, but he could not break free no matter how hard he struggled. How so? But there is no doubt that they hit the wall. Warrior. The other party must be a legendary warrior. He didn't even see clearly how the other party took action. All his men lay down. At this moment, Zhao Debiao had the idea of killing Go Qing just now. But at this moment, Go Qing and Leng Jun were also beaten and lay down. Their eyes were filled with incomparable shock, and a trace of despair arose in their hearts. How is this possible? How could this happen? The expressions of the two of them became extremely ugly. They originally thought that they would find Zhao Debiao to settle accounts with this guy and teach him a lesson, but they never expected that the result would be like this. Regret. Both of them felt extremely regretful. In the private room, Lin Yan ran, Zhang Tingting and other girls were also staring blankly at this scene, their eyes widened and their mouths opened wide. Then, a strange light appeared in the beautiful eyes of the girls. So handsome. Li Hao was so handsome that he knocked down 7 or 8 strong men in a matter of seconds. It's really amazing. Wu Chao and Chen Tao also stared at the scene blankly, confused. Damn. Can a rat know martial arts? The two exchanged foul words. Wu. Let me go. Zhao Debiao blushed and spoke to Li Hao with difficulty. Aren't you going to help my little brother settle accounts with me? Li Hao said calmly to Zhao Debiao. They were just a few ordinary people, and it didn't take much effort on their part. Furthermore, Zhao Debiao's life and death depended on his own thoughts. As long as he exerted a little force, this guy would belch. I was wrong. Let me go. Zhao Debiao said to Li Hao with all his strength again. The next moment, Li Hao pinched Zhao Debiao's neck and shook him. Bang! Zhao Debiao's body hit the ground next to him heavily. Come on, let's settle the accounts. Li Hao directly stood next to Zhao Debiao condescendingly and said to Zhao Debiao. Forget it, forget it. This is a misunderstanding. Zhao Debiao looked extremely ugly and said quickly. Damn, this guy's attack was too heavy. He felt like his neck was about to break, and the boys next to him hadn't gotten up yet. Zhao Debiao was really scared. Forget it? How can that be okay? You interrupted our singing, smashed many bottles of wine, and disturbed my friend's fun. Tell me, how should this account be settled? Li Hao said sharply again. Ah! After hearing Li Hao's words, Zhao Debiao's face looked as ugly as if he had eaten up. I'll pay, I'll pay. I'll be responsible for your consumption today, okay? Zhao Debiao said immediately. Yeah. That's pretty much it? Li Hao nodded, but Zhao Debiao wanted to cry. This is like losing your wife and losing your troops. What's going on? What's going on? Our KTV prohibits fights. Fighting must be done outside. But at this moment, a voice came from outside again. Outside the door of the private room, several people hurried over. The leader was a man in a small suit who looked to be in his 30s. Behind him, there were several security personnel. This man was the lobby manager of the Dynasty KTV. Hearing his subordinates say that someone was making trouble in the KTV and wanted to fight, he quickly summoned his subordinates and rushed over. Forward. As soon as the lobby manager finished speaking, he saw the scene and his eyes widened. 7 or 8 figures were lying on the ground, and the scene was messy. Grass. Is this already finished? What's going on? However, those women and the 3 young men who looked like college students stood still. No, those people behind were separated by a distance, and it seemed that this young man was the only one standing in the field. Hiss. The lobby manager suddenly took a breath and thought of an unbelievable possibility. Could it be that this young man beat these people down? You are the manager of this KTV, right? But at this moment, the young man said to him again. Yes. I am Ma Chao, the lobby manager here. The lobby manager said immediately. They said they would pay for the things that were broken here and the expenses incurred in our private room. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip. Report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 169. Let's go. Li Hao said to everyone in the private room again. The interest in singing has been disturbed, and there is no need to continue singing. Moreover, it was getting very late, and it was already past 11 o'clock. After saying that, Li Hao walked out of the private room first, followed by Wu Chao, Chen Tao, Lin Yanran and other women. Rear. After the lobby manager learned more about what happened, his heart was in turmoil again. Unexpectedly, it was really this young man. On the ground, that Zhao Debiao also got up. Damn it, get up. Zhao Debiao shouted at the men on the ground, and then kicked Go Qing and Leng Jun next to them. And you too, damn. It's all the fault of you two. You've tricked me to death. Why don't you pretend to be dead? Get up, if you don't give me an explanation for what happened today, I will break your limbs and let you go out to beg. Zhao Debiao got angry when he saw Go Qing and Leng Jun, and suddenly said sharply. The fate of Go Qing and Leng Jun was undoubtedly tragic, but the source of this result was that they fell in love with a woman. On the other side, several people walked out of the private room and headed towards the door of the KTV. The girls, Zhang Tingting, Lu Yu, and Zhang Chunjiao were all a little dizzy from drinking, and they fell down while walking. Only Lin Yanran and Feng Yuling are slightly better. Wu Chao and Chen Tao both had good drinkers and drank a lot. Although their faces were red from drinking, they were still relatively sober. By the way, where are Wu Ziyi and Xiaoji? At this time, Lin Yanran suddenly said. Yes. Where is Brother Ji? It seems like he hasn't come back since he went to the toilet. Could it be that he hasn't finished peeing yet and can't finish it? Then you have to take some Liu Wei Dai Huang pills. At this time, Wu Chao and others also remembered that there seemed to be 2 people missing. Don't worry about him. He will definitely not go back today anyway. He must have even booked a room. Li Hao said lightly. Beast. This guy actually wants to stay in a hotel again. Brother Wu Keija stopped shouting, but he was filled with envy in his heart. It would be good to have a woman. He immediately glanced at the other girls next to him. He had ideas in his heart, but it was difficult to realize them. I'd better call Brother G and talk about it. Chen Tao said again, this guy is quite honest, he has already picked up his mobile phone and is browsing Xiaoji's phone number. When Li Hao saw this scene, he originally wanted to stop it, but Xiaoji and Wu Zaiwei might be doing something bad in the toilet now. Wouldn't calling them be disturbing them? But in the end, Li Hao gave it up. Li Hao could imagine Xiaoji's expression when he was suddenly interrupted by a phone call just as he was about to do something. Well, that's good, let this guy feel what it's like to be interrupted. Fight, fight. Li Hao did not stop him, but said with some gloating. The next moment, Chen Tao called Xiaoji directly. Buzz buzz. Xiaoji's phone on the shelf inside the cubicle vibrated because it was set to vibrate and had no ringtone. This is all experience. How could he be disturbed by a phone call at a critical moment, so Xiaoji's cell phone never turned on the ringtone. Although the phone was vibrating and Xiaoji heard it, he just glanced at it and didn't pay attention. Buzz buzz. Xiaoji's cell phone was still vibrating, but it had unconsciously vibrated to the edge of the shelf. The next moment. Pa! Xiaoji's cell phone fell directly from the shelf, making a crisp sound, which was the sound of the phone breaking. Holy shit! My phone! When Xiaoji saw this scene, he immediately screamed and felt bad. Xiaoji subconsciously went to pick up the phone, but could only stop his original movements. The two of them can't play mahjong. When Xiaoji picked up the phone and looked at it, he was immediately filled with grief. My kidneys are 13. The brand new one has only been used for less than 2 weeks. Damn it, who is it? Who made the call at this time? The phone screen was broken and full of cracks. Xiaoji was about to cry. This Kidney 13 was a new mobile phone he just bought. He had only used it for less than a month. Although he has money, he still feels depressed. The phone was broken and he almost fell into the urinal. If water got into the urinal, he would be even more heartbroken. There are still a lot of photos saved in his mobile phone, all taken by him and his girlfriends. Xiaoji was extremely depressed, feeling like stealing a chicken but losing a lot of rice. There is no interest anymore. It's so unpleasant. Xiaoji wanted to know who made the call. But now, the screen of the mobile phone is blurred, and I can't even see who is calling. The other side. Chen Tao didn't know that his phone call caused the screen of Xiaoji's newly bought Kidney 13 to be broken, and Xiaoji and Wu Zaiwei stopped playing mahjong. Chen Tao frowned and said, Brother G, what are you doing? He didn't answer the phone. Could it be that he left us and went directly to the hotel? Don't worry about him. Let's go. Li Hao said calmly again. Brother Tao, the beauties have all drunk, can you take them back to school? Li Hao said to Wu Chao and Chen Tao. Don't worry. Leave it to me. Okay, Tao, go ahead. The two said in unison. Li Hao was speechless again after hearing what they said. Have you seen too many Paw Patrols? These two guys are funny, drunk, and dare to say anything. I'm going to drive. I'll leave them to you too. Li Hao said again, and was about to drive. With so many girls who had drunk, Li Hao felt more at ease if Wu Chao and Chen Tao took them back. Didn't you drink too? You're still driving? Are you going to drink and drive? But at this time, Lin Yanran said to Li Hao again, her eyes were filled with concern. Drunk and drive? Of course it's impossible to drive drunk. This little bit of alcohol, to me, is like water. It doesn't exist. Li Hao laughed again and said lightly. I am a cultivator. As soon as I improve my cultivation, the wine I drink will be excreted without filtering. Li Hao, can I take your car? I have never been in a Lamborghini before. Lin Yanran said immediately when she heard that Li Hao was going to drive. Li Hao, can you take me home? At this time, Zhang Tingting, who was a little dizzy, also said to Li Hao. Li Hao's Lamborghini has become a hot commodity. Every beautiful woman wants to sit in it. At this moment, Lin Yanran and Zhang Tingting are vying to sit in Li Hao's car. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 170. The two beauties actually wanted to ride in Li Hao's car and said to Li Hao at the same time. When Fen Yuling, Lu Yu, and others saw this scene, they opened their mouths, but they suppressed what they wanted to say. Chen Tao and Wu Chao also opened their mouths when they saw this scene. Driving a luxury car is awesome, and girls rush to get in the car. Well, but my car can only carry one person. Li Hao heard the voices of Lin Yanran and Zhang Tingting, but said weakly. Yanran, my head is so dizzy. If I take a taxi, I will vomit. But at this time, Zhang Tingting said to Lin Yanran again. She really looked like she was drunk and could not even stand still. Okay. Then you can take his car. Li Hao, take her back. Hearing Zhang Tingting's words, Lin Yanran said nothing more. They were all best friends in the dormitory, and the other party did seem to have drunk a little too much, so Lin Yanran stopped arguing. In that case, then you can take my car. Let's go, call if you have any questions. Li Hao said directly again, and then walked towards the place where he was eating hot pot. Zhang Tingting followed naturally. Li Hao. I'm so dizzy. Seeing that Li Hao didn't care about her, Zhang Tingting immediately said to Li Hao again, looking like she was about to faint. Li Hao. Li Hao had no choice but to turn around and hold Zhang Tingting's arm. Seeing this scene, there was an unnatural look in Lin Yanran's eyes, and she always felt a little sour in her heart, as if something that originally belonged to her had been taken over by someone else. Let's go to, take two cars. Wu Chao said again, and then directly called two taxis. In addition to Xiaoji, there were also Li Hao and Zhang Tingting. There were also 6 people at the scene. One car would definitely not be able to fit in, so Wu Chao directly got 2 cars. A few people got in the car and headed straight to school. Li Hao supported Zhang Tingting, and at a certain moment, Zhang Tingting suddenly said to Li Hao again. Li Hao. It's great to meet you. That's for sure. Otherwise, don't go back tonight. Li Hao said to Zhang Tingting again with a half smile. Thinking of the scene in the toilet before, Li Hao couldn't help but scan Zhang Tingting's body. It can only be said that Zhang Tingting's figure is so alluring that Li Hao can't help but extricate himself. You are so evil. When Zhang Tingting heard Li Hao's words, her pretty face suddenly turned red with embarrassment. She glared at Li Hao and said, she didn't look like there was any sign of fainting. Then are you willing? Or are you willing? Li Hao said with a smile again. Zhang Tingting was so ashamed, but she still nodded, and then said to Li Hao. Can you book a hotel? Haha, no need to book, just go directly to Shanglaxi Hotel. That hotel is mine. Seeing Zhang Tingting's appearance, Li Hao suddenly laughed again. Tonight, he must fight Zhang Tingting for 300 rounds. Ah! Hearing Li Hao's words, Zhang Tingting was shocked again. Does Shanglaxi Hotel belong to Li Hao? Zhang Tingting's heart was filled with turmoil, and she became more and more determined in her heart. Instead of being dragged by her parents for blind dates every time she went back so that she could marry early and make money, she would rather give herself to Li Hao and capture this young man. She has no money, no background, no family, the only thing she has is a little figure. Haha. Let's go. When Li Hao saw Zhang Tingting's shocked look, he couldn't help but smile and pulled Zhang Tingting in the direction of where he parked his car. Can't wait. Although Li Hao is already a monk and has a system, he is still a young man in his 20s, a normal passionate young man and a virgin who has been single for 20 years. Soon, the two of them returned to the entrance of Xiaolongai Hot Pot restaurant. A Lamborghini Poison parked quietly in front of the hot pot restaurant, still attracting the attention of those who passed by. Even though it's already past 11 o'clock, this is a bustling area in the city center, and many people's nightlife has just begun. Li Hao opened the door directly and sat in the driver's seat, while Zhang Tingting got in the passenger seat. Whose rich second generation is he again? Luxury cars and beautiful women. This is life. This car is so handsome. That beautiful woman's figure is really amazing. When the two people got into the Lamborghini Poison, the surrounding people who were passing by saw the scene and suddenly made a huge uproar. The voices of these passers-by naturally fell into Li Hao's ears, but Li Hao didn't pay any attention to them. There are always people in the world who want to live in the envious eyes of others, and I am one of them. Boom. The roar of Lamborghini's Poison engine suddenly became louder again. Whoosh. The Lamborghini Poison was activated immediately, and it rushed out, speeding on the road at night, heading towards the Shanglaxi Hotel. Driving a sports car and smelling the fragrance coming from Zhang Tingting, Li Hao had wild thoughts in his mind. The next moment, Li Hao drove with one hand and quietly placed his right hand on Zhang Tingting's thigh. Zhang Tingting trembled slightly and couldn't help but glared at Li Hao, but she didn't say anything, but her pretty face was still extremely red. However, at a certain moment, the Lamborghini Veneno, which was originally driving normally, was stopped by Li Hao's violent brake slam. Ah! The sudden brake made Zhang Tingting beside him scream. The reason was that in front of Li Hao's Lamborghini Veneno, the car that was originally driving normally suddenly braked and stopped, and Li Hao had to brake and stop. Faintly, Li Hao also heard a bang sound, which came from the car in front. This car was still a Mercedes-Benz S450. Then, Li Hao and Zhang Tingting in the car behind saw the emergency lights of the Mercedes-Benz S450 flashing. There was a car accident. The Mercedes-Benz S450 in front had a car accident. This was the first thought of the two. I don't know what happened. The cars behind were already stuck in a long queue, and some cars had changed lanes and went around from the side. At this time, a middle-aged man in a suit and glasses with a big belly walked down from the driver's seat of the Mercedes-Benz S450. The man got off the car angrily, and then walked to the front of the car and looked very ugly. The left side of the front of his car was bruised and deformed. Next to it, the front wheel of a human-powered tricycle had been deformed, and an old-fashioned sewing machine fell to the ground. On the ground, there was an old woman in her 60s or 70s, with gray hair, rubbing her legs. When she saw the deformed tricycle and the sewing machine on the ground, she burst into tears. "Oh God, what sin have I committed? Why do you treat me like this?"